The next approach that we want to present here is the temporal approach. While traditional assessments only measure flows entering and exiting for one specific year, the temporal approach takes into account the evolution of the flows. So instead of looking at a snapshot of your metabolism for 1 year, the temporal evolution shows us a movie. So you see here with light blue is the inflows. Instead of looking just 1 year, you see that there is a curve and an evolution of this flow. The same thing is happening with the dark blue, which is the outflows. Now, by developing this time series evolution, it is possible to understand how different urbanization and economic development processes impact resource use and pollution, and vice versa. This temporal evolution of Vienna energy use shows the shift from one energy vector to another across the years. This evolution shows the different types of infrastructure that had to be built in Vienna and the increasing distance from where Vienna imported its energy. You see here, for instance, that at the beginning of the 19th century, it was mainly fuel wood. The primary energy source was fuel wood, and then it was coal, and then it was oil, and finally now it is natural gas. All of these energy sources come from different places and have a different impact on the urbanization processes and the urban morphology. However, it's important to note that different lengths of time intervals can provide different insights. The shorter the temporal interval you take into account into a temporal approach, the closest to individual behaviors we get. On the contrary, the longer the temporal interval, the better we understand structural, economic, societal, and urban changes. The last approach presented in this video is the spatial approach. In common urban environmental assessments, the flows entering and exiting are only measured at a city level. As you see here, imagine in this case the amount of water entering the city is measured and you have a value. Now, this assumes that the entire city consumes homogeneously. However, if you zoom in, you can see that not all parts of your city consume in the same way. Depending on the land use or the socioeconomic profile of your inhabitants, each part of your city has a different consumption pattern. This spatial approach can help identify local drivers. As an example here, we can see the different neighborhoods of Los Angeles consuming different amounts of water. This indicates that the city is a heterogeneous system and that different parts of your city consume in a different way. As for the temporal evolution, different spatial scales provide different insights for cities. For instance, small spatial scales can help inform the relationship between socioeconomic aspects, profiles of inhabitants, and resource use, while larger spatial scales can inquire the relationship between, let's say, commuting and transportation and resource use. As we saw in this video, different type of approaches give you different insights for your urban metabolism study. The next video will present the concrete methodologies that are used in order to measure resource use and pollution emission flows.